this is our next section in Photoshop. We're going to be doing this smart object with a broken glass. As you can see, the different layers going through there. We're going to start with the wand tool, and you're going to select the white areas, and then you're going to copy, create a new layer, and then Option Delete to fill in whatever color that you want, and make sure it's on a separate layer. Command T will transform it. We want to transform this so it's straight on. So I'm pulling down ruler guides so you can have a straight edge to compare to. And I'm like speeding through this, but pretty much you just want to line that all up. You don't want it much wider than the actual phone. You just want to kind of have a straight edge, because with the smart object you want to start straight, create the smart object, and then distort it. So that way when you edit the smart object, it can... We're converting to smart object now, and so now you see it straight on. So now that we got the smart object created, we want to go back and now distort it to the way it was. So that way it will take on the properties of whatever image we put in there, because if we would just put the image in there already warped, it would just be straight up. So now the smart object is taking on the properties of being warped. And so I use the warp tool, Command T again, zooming in, trying to get exact so you don't see any white areas. And then you're going to put on, double click on the layer, and then you're going to do an inner shadow. So you can double click on the inner shadow property and you can adjust those settings to just make them look like it's three-dimensional a little bit, and that it's kind of in the phone, not really just like on top of the phone. So play with that and hit OK. And now we can start adding the image to the smart object. So first we're going to do some edits to this little cute baby tiger. We're going to talk about how to work with the crop tool. So we're going to first go to original ratio. I'm sorry, not original ratio, but the putting in the actual dimensions, and you clear it out, and then you could just make it whatever dimensions you want. Since it is a vertical, we'll just crop it vertical. Now we're going to get rid of this stick that's kind of stabbing the tiger. We're going to start with the spot heal tool, which is J. The spot heal tool just kind of takes its surroundings and heals what's around it, so it's not always the best option. So we're going to use the stamp tool. The stamp tool, you hit Option, click to sample the area, and then you start stamping. And then you can keep hitting Option. So we were sampling the fur to go over top of that. So Option, click, sample the fur, and then we Option clicked on the grassy area to stamp that area. Now we're going to come over to the stick, since that looks weird now. We'll Option click outside of it and do little by little. Option click, and then a little bit bigger, Option click more. So it's a little bit away from the face or the head, and then I'm just kind of shaping that to look like a pointed stick, and then taking a J tool, spot heal tool again, kind of healing those areas. Now we're going to add some photo adjustments. You can add some brightness to it, kind of play with those settings however you want. Add some color, hue, saturation. So those are destructive, so once you do it, you cannot get rid of it. So now we're going to go to our smart object layer. As you can see at the top, layering all the files, and you're going to drag it over to that file. Command T to transform, and we're going to make it fit the shape. But now we got to get rid of the edges, because whatever is filled, we hit enter to get rid of that. And then you're going to go to the pink layer, hit your wand tool again, select the pink, go up to the tiger. You're going to inverse it, because you want to delete the outside, not the inside, and hit delete. Hit Command D to deselect, hit Command S to save that smart object, and you'll see that it has flowed and angled right into the phone. You see the shadowing that kind of offsets it. Now we're going to add the crack screen. I hit T to transform it again, turn it around. Since it's vertical, scale it down, turn it until it fits. Speed through this. I put opacity on it so you can kind of see what's behind it to line it up better. I'm hitting Option or Command instead of to distort it as I go, and then you can hit Warp to warp it in there. So this one is not a smart object, so you can kind of warp it a little bit more. We're going to get the erase tool, which is E, and make sure at the top that you hit the erase tool settings so that the fade brush is on, so it fades into the background. So we're just kind of erasing where we don't want it. And then we're taking the opacity all the way up. And now we're using layer properties to put in, like we do in Illustrator, to allow it to do its see through the photo. When you're done, we're going to save as a Photoshop file and as a JPEG. So save as a copy as a JPEG and submit that. And now that we have this smart object done, we're going to do one more copy. So get rid of the tiger picture and open the second picture, because we want to, a thing about a smart object is something you can reuse. So you're going to crop this image now and do the same thing as you did before. You're going to drag it over to the tiger picture. You're going to hit Command T to scale it down again to fit in that area. You're going to get your wand tool. You're going to inverse it again and hit Delete and hit deselect, Command D to deselect, and hit Command S to save. And as you see now, that picture is also in there as well. So that's finishing this lesson. Submit your 2 Photoshop files and your 2 JPEG files for grade on this lesson.